Alrighty, guys. Once again, welcome to Opening Day 2023 in Major League Baseball. My name is Brock Page, and I've been dishing out free sports picks right here on YouTube since 2016. I also sell my personal sports bets on patreon.com/BrockPage. And if you want to see which one of these games here today that I'm actually betting on personally, you may want to think about signing up for my Major League Baseball tier package on my website. And if you sign up for that membership here today, you're going to get access to that package for the next 30 days. As an added bonus, guys, you're also going to get access to all of my cheaper memberships during that time frame, absolutely free. They're going to be included with your purchase. Now, I currently have over 580 members who are signed up and active on my website right now. And you may be wondering what the difference is between what we do here on YouTube and what I do on my website. Well, what we do here on YouTube is we'll handicap the entire slate of games in any given sport, side, and total. And what I do on my website is I actually share with you which one of these free plays on these videos that I'm actually betting on personally. And with that, guys, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to take a look at the Phils at the Rangers, 405 East. Texas is minus 135, total 6.5. Jacob deGrom for Texas, Aaron Nola for the Fightins. Now, Nola's coming off another 200-plus strikeout season. It's actually his fourth straight season with 200-plus Ks, throwing out that COVID year. He also finished the regular season last year with a .96 whip, and he definitely looked real strong in the World Series run as well. And even though the Phils won't have Bryce Harper or Rhys Hoskins in the lineup for a while, it was actually Kyle Schwarber who led the franchise in homers last year. He hit almost 50 in the regular season and hit a whole bunch of them in the postseason as well. Now, the Phils also have newly acquired Trey Turner, who hit just about 300 with the Dodgers last year and had 100 ribbies in the regular season. Now, the Phils are taking a Texas team who they have Jacob deGrom on the bump, and even though deGrom has been dominant over the years, the Phils are very familiar with him as he's been in the NL East for the last 9 seasons. The Rangers are also coming off a 94-loss season with plenty of holes in their lineup. I don't know if they're going to get this thing fixed right away. Give me Philadelphia plus $1.15, under 6.5. Next matchup, Twins, Royals, 4:10 p.m. East. Minnesota's minus 155, totals 9. Pablo Lopez for Minnesota, Zach Greinke for Kansas City. Now, Greinke went just 4-9 with the Royals last season with a 1.34 whip. And this Royals lineup also had a tough time getting on base last season. They're facing Pablo Lopez, who had double-digit wins last year with a lackluster Miami team. As a matter of fact, Lopez had an ERA in the 3s in his last 3 straight seasons. He also had a sub 1.20 whip in those very years as well. Kyle Farmer, he had a handful of homers and double-digit RBI in spring training. Meanwhile, Willie Castro had double-digit RBI in spring training as well. Now, weather-wise, going to be windy at Kauffman Stadium here this afternoon. 20-mile-an-hour winds by game time. Give me Minnesota minus 155, over 9. Next matchup, Mets, Marlins, 4:10 p.m. East. The Mets are minus $1.25, total 7. Max Scherzer for New York, Sandy Alcantara for Miami. Now, Sandy's coming off an all-star season where he won 14 games, and he has an ERA in the low 2s. He also had over 200 strikeouts and a .98 whip. When it comes to offensive production, Garrett Cooper hit nearly 300 in spring training with a bunch of RBI. Now, they're facing a Mets team on the other side who definitely had trouble, getting on base in spring training. Tommy Pham hit 156. Danny Vogelbach, he hit 205 with no homers. Give me Miami plus 105, under 7. Next game, Pirates, Reds, 4:10 p.m. East. Cincinnati's minus 130, totals 8. Hunter Green for the Reds, Mitch Keller for Pittsburgh. And despite his record last year, Mitch definitely threw a handful of really good innings. Keller had an ERA in the 3s, and he's actually allowed only 34 home runs in his entire career. He's going against Hunter Green here today, who's actually coming off a pretty rough season in 2022. The righty went just 5-13 with an ERA in the mid-4s. He also got that short porch at the Great American Ballpark as well, certainly doing him no favors. And when it comes to offensive production, Will Myers and Jose Barrero struck out 36 times in spring training between the both of them. Now, injury-wise, Joey Votto's out for the Reds. JT Brubaker is still hurt for Pittsburgh. Give me the Pirates plus +110 over 8. Next matchup, Blue Jays Cardinals, 4:10 p.m. East. Toronto's minus $120, total 7.5. Miles Michaelis for St. Louis, Alek Manoah for Toronto. And even though Manoah's solid, this Blue Jays lineup did have a few problem areas in spring training. Dalton Varsho hit just $196, and he struck out 15 times in 51 ABs. Meanwhile, Matt Chapman hit 196 with 0 home runs. And, of course, this is a Toronto team who's struggled with strikeouts at the dish over the past couple of years. They're going to have to hit Miles Michaelis here today, who had a dozen wins last year and an ERA in the low 3s. Now, Michaelis also had a whip of just 1.03. When it comes to offensive production, Brendan Donovan hit nearly 300 in the preseason, had an OPS of 893, so maybe be on the lookout for him. Give me St. Louis plus $1 over 7.5. You thought I was going to talk about Paul Goldschmidt, right? Nolan Arenado. No, Brendan Donovan we brought out. Anyway, next matchup. White Sox, Astros, 7:08 East. The defending champions, Houston Astros, they're minus $135, total 7.5. Framber Valdez for Houston, Dylan Cease for Chicago. And even though Cease had a fantastic 2022 campaign, he is coming off a season-high 78 walks. He's also going up against Framber Valdez, who was unhittable in the postseason during that World Series title run. He also went 17-6 in the regular season with an ERA in the 2s. Meanwhile, at the plate, Yandy Diaz hit .325 in spring training. Jose Abreu also had an OPS of 910. Give me Houston minus 135 over 7.5. Next matchup, Rockies Padres, 9:40 p.m. East. San Diego's minus 220, total 7. Blake Snell for San Diego, German Marquez for Colorado. Marquez struck out 150 last year and had a solid spring training. Marquez gave up just 1 earned run in 17 innings of work. When it comes to offensive production, Ryan McMahon hit .309 in the preseason with a .960 OPS. Now, this Rockies lineup is facing Blake Snell here today, who really hasn't been the same since coming to San Diego. He actually has a losing record with the Pods, and he has a pretty lackluster whip in San Diego. Give me Colorado plus 1.5, keeping that one close, over 7. Next contest, Angels, A's, 10:07 East. The LA Angels are minus 210, total 7. Shohei Ohtani for LA, Kyle Muller for Oakland. Now, Muller's got just 49 innings of work under his belt, and those were in Atlanta. He had an 8.03 ERA last year with the Braves and had a pretty bad spring training here this year with Oakland. Muller gave up 13 earned runs and 3 homers in just 18 innings of work. Now, he's facing an Angels lineup who's led by Mike Trout, who hit 40 home runs last year in a very shortened season. Now, Shohei Ohtani was right behind him with 34 home runs and 95 ribbies. And, of course, speaking of Shohei, he's getting the starting nod here today on the Hill. He actually won 15 games last year with an ERA in the low 2s. Give me the Angels minus 1.5 over 7. Next matchup, it is going to be Guardians at, actually, no, it's not. It's going to be Diamondbacks at the Dodgers, 10:10 p.m. East. The LA Dodgers are minus $175, total 7.5. Julio Urias for LA, Zach Gallen for Arizona. And even though Zach Gallen's coming off a spectacular 2022 campaign, he did get knocked down. He got knocked around a bit in spring training. He had an 8.33 ERA through 16-plus innings. The D-backs also need to improve greatly at the plate because they did have one of the worst hitting lineups in the National League. Now they're facing Julio Urias, who's going to make it tough on him. Urias went 17-7 in the regular season with a 2.16 ERA. The lefty also finished the regular season with a .96 whip. Give me the Dodgers minus 175, under 7.5. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup for the video. It's going to be between the Guardians and the Mariners, 10:10 p.m. East. Seattle's minus a $1.20, total 6.5. Luis Castillo for Seattle, Shane Bieber for Cleveland. Now, Biebs went 13-8 last year with 198 strikeouts and a 1.04 whip. He's facing a Seattle lineup who's had all kinds of problems at the plate over the past couple of years. Give me Cleveland, Cleveland plus $1, under 6.5. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our quick pick recap. Give me the Phillies plus a $1.15, under 6.5. Minnesota minus a $1.55, over 9. Miami plus 105, under 7. Pittsburgh plus a $1.10, over 8. St. Louis plus $1, over 7.5. Houston Astros minus 135, over 7.5 runs. Colorado plus 1.5, over 7. LA Angels minus 1.5, over 7 runs. LA Dodgers minus 175, under 7.5. With my next and final free pick, give me Cleveland plus $1, under 6.5.